Little Women was directed by Greta Gerwig, who directed Lady Bird, based on a novel by Louisa May Alcott, and is a coming-of-age story in the post-Civil War America that centers around the March family, the March sisters, their mother, the various people that come into her lives, and is told in the form of flashbacks taking place 7 years before, and then in the more present day where the sisters are more grown up. And we go back and forth between that. We see the sisters growing up, how they would fight, but they do love each other. They always wanted to be together, but some wanted to go off and get married. Some didn't want to get married. In the case of the sister Jo, played by Saoirse Ronan, the instant I saw that Greta Gerwig and Saoirse Ronan were going to be reunited because they, were teamed up in Lady Bird, I was in. Shut up and take my goddamn money. Greta Gerwig, if she continues to direct great movies like Lady Bird and even like this, then I'm all for it. And she's easily gonna be one of my favorite directors. She already is because she has directed two really damn good movies. Lady Bird was better, I will say that. I would actually put that in my favorite films of the decade, and that's just how I'm going. That's just how I'm gonna roll. But with this movie, I was interested to see how she was going to put her spin and how she was going to direct fairly familiar material. This goes all the way back to film versions in the 1930s, 1933, 1949. They've done other versions in this decade. And then the one that a lot of people remember is the 1994 edition. It had Winona Ryder. It was actually pretty goddamn good. I really enjoyed that movie, which might surprise a lot of people. And I say that Greta Gerwig knocked it out of the goddamn park here. Now, the material is familiar. If you've seen any of those other versions, you know what to expect. This is a little bit longer than some of the other versions, or at least it seemed to be to me. But what really made this movie was the performances. Saoirse Ronan is a goddamn revelation. She has been great for years and years and years. Was great in Hannah, was great in The Lovely Bones, was great in so many movies. She was great in Lady Bird. I would say that was a career-making performance for her. Emma Watson plays the sister Meg. She's also really good in this. I've been kind of 50-50 on Emma Watson since the whole, thing with Harry Potter ended. She's had some good performances. I liked her in Beauty and the Beast, the live action remake, but I wasn't so sure how she would do here. She did quite well. Um, let's see, Timothy Chalamet, Chalamet. I'm pretty certain I got that wrong. He played the character of Theodore, also with the nickname of Laurie. He played a key role here. You had Florence Pugh playing the sister of Amy, and let me just say this much: Florence Pugh has had a hell of a year. Fighting with My Family was better than it had any right to be. Midsommar was absolutely great. She's had a really good year. 3 movies, pretty goddamn good performances, and I think she's going to have a very, very high future in Hollywood. One sister, though, the fourth sister, Beth, Elsa Scallon, I'm not going to spoil it right now for those of you that haven't seen it, but she has certain things will happen that center around her and a couple others that are key to advancing the plot and bringing this coming of age thing more about family and everything. And but she actually was pretty good in this, and I'd like to see more from her, and hopefully she has some better roles. After this, Laura Dern was the mother, and she was pretty good in it. Laura Dern has had a bit of a career resurgence, having some good work in a lot of these dramas, and she worked pretty well. You had the Aunt March, played by Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep is great. She was just great and snide and everything, and just providing more of the comic relief. She provided some directness, but she was really good in this. I mean, I fucking love Meryl Streep. Her career speaks for itself. Mr. Dashwood, Tracy Letts, he was really good as well. So all the key components were there, and yes, it's familiar territory. The dialogue is familiar and stuff, and it's exactly what you would expect from a Little Women, remake. But what helps is the direction by Greta Gerwig and the writing and the performances. If Saoirse Ronan doesn't start getting some kind of Oscar nomination for some of her work, and I don't necessarily know for this. I think she should have won an Oscar for Lady Bird, in my personal opinion, but I don't remember a lot of the Oscar nominations because I don't usually see a lot of those movies, but I'm going to once again say Lady Bird was phenomenal. This really was very performance driven. Florence Pugh was very good in this, and I'm pretty certain I'm saying that wrong because I tend to say some names wrong. The four sisters do a really good job. The four girls playing the sisters are really good. Laura Dern's good. All the performances are really well done. And you can tell that Greta Gerwig was like, okay, well, we got a lot of familiar territory here, but let's just have it be with performances by really strong women, but also great performances by the guys. Everybody was treated equal here, but it was, of course, based around Jo wanting to be a writer and everything, but giving that up once she found out when certain life events happened and she had to go back to her mother and remaining sister. There are people like, well, maybe we loved each other back then, but we don't now, and this kind of stuff. And it's just all definitely a major coming of age story. One of the original coming of age stories, and really does work pretty damn well, at least as far as movies go. This was definitely one of the originators of coming of age and really works goddamn well. So it's really damn good. Now, this would have come close to being on my favorite films of 2019 list. It wouldn't have quite been there. It would have been in the honorable mentions, obviously. But performances and excellent writing. And the way it was filmed, the way it was shot was very, very well done. It had a lot of great stuff to it. Sure, I have some quibbles about it. It was a little long. I mean, and maybe that's just because some movies tend to drag. It's not that this dragged; it just was a little bit long. That doesn't mean that it was bad, because the performances, each scene did have a meaning, but there were some they probably could have cut a little bit. But there was everything told in flashbacks, and going forward, that got a little bit confusing at first, especially if you're not brushed up on the whole thing, on all the Little Women stuff. But this movie was really goddamn good. I encourage you guys to go see it, especially if you like the 94 version. And now I'm going to get into some spoilers here for those that don't know. So there won't be too many spoilers. But anyway, 3, 2, 1, and go. Spoiler territory here. So, as Jo's trying to publish her writing and everything, publish her stories, you got the people that the newspaper guy, publisher, he's taking a risk, so he's wanting her to spice up her stories and everything. Jo doesn't want to do that. She wants to hold true to her word. She wants to be a woman growing up in a man's world, but make it a woman's world. Wants to start her own school, wants to do this, educate women properly, educate boys equally. Like, hey, we can both be equal people. Florence Pugh, somebody that thinks she loves some guy and then doesn't, and turns out she loves some guy she's known for so long, which actually she's loved him for a while, and then it turns out that he actually does love her, because Jo had earlier refused his advances because she's a headstrong woman and doesn't feel that she can be loved by anybody. And of course, it turns out that she can. I mean, obviously, because that's how these stories are supposed to go. I mean, as was kind of alluded to at the end. What really set it off, though, was the sister Beth dying of scarlet fever, because there was this family that was living in squalor, so to speak. It was a woman with 5 kids. Baby had scarlet fever, and in one of those times going over there, the family going over there, and Beth had been taking care of them since all the family had separated. Jo had gone to New York. Amy had gone to Paris with the aunt. Meg had married a tutor, and things were here and there and whatever. But with Beth, she had contracted the scarlet fever, and then thought she was getting better. So everybody went off and did their stuff. Well, it turned out that it came back, because sometimes the illnesses take hold and they don't leave. And eventually it just wore her down, and she did pass away. Jo took this very hard and felt that her writing couldn't save her, this kind of stuff. Okay, but then she found the inspiration to get back. Sure, it's okay. I'm being kind of... It sounds like I'm being snide about the movie, and I'm really not. The movie was quite good. Very, very performance driven. Had it not been these actresses, and had Greta Gerwig not been doing this directing, and had a hand in the writing, obviously taking the words of Louisa May Alcott and making them work among these actresses. Had it not been a perfect storm of these pieces, this would not have worked at all. This would have been about a C grade. Yes, okay, it falls on the familiar, romantic tropes and stuff like that, but Saoirse Ronan does deliver another career-making performance here. She really is a revelation in Hollywood, and I think even despite some of the movies she's done, she made Hannah, a movie about a little girl assassin, work pretty damn well. I mean, if you've seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. You take any other young actress at that time and put her, or and take her out of it and put somebody else in there, save a few at that time, I don't think it would have worked. She is the anchor that helps with it. Just everybody worked well in this one. I really can't say enough good things about it. Even despite some of the issue, we're like, okay, that's cheesy. You could smell and see the cheese oozing out of this. But you have to also be in the kind of romantic stuff with some good comedy. So really, I'm just gonna say A minus. I'm gonna say A minus. Pull up there. This would have been just out of my top 10, but it would have been damn close. Um, it was still, excuse me, it was still damn fun. Really, really good. I really enjoyed this one. So let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Riplin. I'll see you soon.